Welcome back to the Neutral Zone. Today we're going to be looking at the 2025 Texas A&M Aggies as we continue along with our college football preview series. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to join the nation, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. Let's get right into the content. This Texas A&M team, I feel like is poised to make a playoff run this year. So we're going to start with a hot take right out the gate. I think Texas A&M is going to be a playoff team. I'd be surprised if they weren't. Obviously, in the SEC, they have a very tough schedule, but I think they return a lot of talent on defense. They obviously got some really good talent in the transfer portal, and they bring up one of the most dynamic quarterbacks, young up-and cornerbacks in college football, in Marcel Reed. We're obviously going to get into the schedule and everything like that, but Dad, I kind of want to know what is your take on A&M? Obviously, last year they finished with a decent record. They went on a losing streak late in the season, but early on they had playoff implications. I would say around the back half of the season they were 7-1 with a chance to get into the SEC title game. So not only what is your thoughts on their season last year, but their kind of current state of the program as we head into 2025?
No, yeah. Last year ended really bad. As you see, they lost 4 out of their last 5. But I think what you take out of last year is exactly what you said. I think you found a bright young star in Marcel Reed. Took over for Connor Wegman, who transferred out to Houston. Dual threat guy. And he looked really good. Almost 2,000 yards passing, another 600 on the ground, or 547 on the ground. Looks like a true dual threat. The question is, can he progress? Can he be a little bit better? Because teams now have film on him. You went into last year thinking you were going to play Connor Wegman. Marcel ended up taking that job. Now teams are going to have film on him. But I think that running attack they have between him and Le'Veon Moss is going to be one of the best rushing attacks in college football next year. Again, we could talk about some of the key returners. The concerning part is what they lost on that defensive line, and you see it there. 3 starting defensive line players, both of their edges really good. Yes, they got some guys in the transfer portal, but I don't think that these guys are just easy to replace. I don't think you just replace a Shamar Stewart, a Shamar Turner. I don't think it's just let me go get somebody else and they're going to come in and have that same productivity. So if your defensive line isn't as great, you got to make up production somewhere. I think this team has a great linebacking core, but you really where this lies for them this season is, can Marcel Reed take the next step? Can Le'Veon take the next step? And can this offense really pop?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, it is a concern on the defensive front, losing Shamar Stewart, Nick Scourton, and Shamar Turner. But I do think Cassius Howe is going to be a solid edge rusher for him. He's projected to be a 1st to 2nd round pick in next year's draft. And I do think TJ Searcy from Florida and Tyler Onyedem from Iowa State can do their best to fill in what both Shamars did, as well as Nick Scourton. I'm not saying they're going to be the same talent or the same production, but I don't think the fall off is going to be that severe. At the end of the day, we saw kind of the recruiting classes that A&M was bringing in with Jimbo. I know a lot of those guys left, but at the end of the day, this roster is still full and rich of 4- and 5-star talent. So I still do think these guys are, talented. They just have to show it on the field production-wise. You lose Noah Thomas, but I think you get back arguably a top 5 receiver in Casey Concepcion from NC State. Obviously, I'm very familiar with him, being a Clemson fan. He's a good young guy as well. You have a really good corner in Will Lee. He's a projected 1st-round pick as well. And so is Armaj Reed Adams. He's also a projected 1st-round pick. So I think overall, this is a very balanced team. I think it's a young team. Like you said, the rushing attack is going to be really solid. You bring over Julian Humphrey from Georgia. He transferred early in the cycle, if I'm not mistaken. It might have even been during the season or something crazy like that from Georgia. So obviously he's a Georgia caliber DB. So I think he's going to have impactful minutes for the A&M team. And you look at the recruiting class, top 10 class, you bring in a 5-star in Lamont Rogers, as well as 14 4-stars. So they had a really good recruiting class. And this is going to be Mike Elko's 2nd year as head coach at A&M. You have one of the better home field advantages in college football at Kyle Field.
Yes.
I expect this team to be very, very good this year. If you guys remember last season, I wasn't super high on Texas A&M just because I feel like there was a lot of question marks for this team. I don't remember what my prediction was for them, but I'm going to say it now. When I look at their schedule, I have this team going 10-2. I know looking at yours, we are completely opposite. You have 7-5. So we are a 3-game discrepancy. I think so far, as we looked at the teams we've done, I think we've done about 6 or 7 teams. This is the first time where we are way off as far as our prediction goes. You have them losing a lot of
Okay, I had
games.
to
I
look
have
at
them
your.
losing 2.
This is the first time I'm seeing his. And let
Yeah.
me say, I if they get this running game, so obviously you have a lot of belief in Marcel Reed. And we talked about some of the other players. I also have to mention Ruben Owens, a 5-star coming in, who's going to be the backup. So you got a 2-headed monster in that backfield. As you mentioned, the question is, can Casey Concepcion really pop off as a receiver? Do teams get film on Marcel, or does he take a step up? But this is a tough schedule. I'm shocked that you only have 2 losses. You're playing a very good Notre Dame team in Notre Dame, right? So if that game had been with the 12th man down in Texas A&M, I may have thought different about that game. But I think with that game being in Notre Dame, I had to go Notre Dame there. Like I said, and you've seen in my previous videos, I think this Florida team is really good. And I believe they're really good, not only because of Lagway coming back, but that offensive line coming back. I think LSU's good. I think South Carolina's good. I think Texas is good. My 7-5 record is not necessarily an indictment on who I think Texas A&M is a team, because I think they have the ability to be a really good team. I think at the end of this season, again, as we said in other videos, some of these things may be true. Marcel may really pop off. The running game may be very dominant, but they just have a tough schedule. As I look, there are other games I even contemplated. That Auburn game, I think Auburn's going to be much better this year with Jackson Arnold. I think Arkansas is going to be okay. I think Missouri may be okay. So this is a very tough schedule. That's why I had them with 5 losses. Like I said, this is not an indictment on Texas A&M. I just think that's who they are in the SEC this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my thought process behind my 10-2 prediction was home field advantage for one. But I
Okay,
also think that Notre Dame game early, I think both teams have question marks. We
I
saw the
agree.
Notre Dame A&M game last year in Kyle Field come down to the wire. Obviously, Notre Dame won that game. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they won. Riley Leonard had
They did.
a big game
They
on the
did. You remember
ground.
they only lost to NIU last year.
Yeah. So I think when you look at, okay, Notre Dame went to Kyle Field and made it a competitive game. I think A&M can go to South Bend and make a competitive game. I
Okay.
just think both teams are going to be with new pieces. You have a new quarterback in Notre Dame. No more Riley Leonard. Obviously, they've had new quarterbacks over and over the last 3 years with Sam Hartman and then
Yeah.
Riley Leonard, and now I don't even know who's the quarterback going to be this year. We
I
haven't
think their
kind of looked
starting
into that.
quarterback is going to be the kid Carr.
What is he, a sophomore?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously you have Jeremiah Love over there. This isn't a Notre Dame preview, so I'm not
And
going
that's
to go
the, yeah.
into the depth chart. But I think Texas A&M can match up well with them. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. When you look at SEC offensive and defensive lines, I think they can match up with Notre Dame offensive and defensive lines. So we just have to wait and see. But I think that game's going to be the tell all for how their season's going to go in A&M. I think if you lose a close game at Notre Dame, then it's like, okay, you don't really hit the panic button, because I think I favor them in every game up until the LSU game. Especially being at home. I mean, the Arkansas game, I still favor them on the road. But I think if they're able to go into South Bend and beat Notre Dame, then we are going to have a serious conversation of not only this team going 10-2, but
Yeah.
possibly 11-1 or 12-0. Because I think LSU is going to be a tough game. We'll see how LSU looks on the road at Clemson. I think Texas is going to be the toughest game on their schedule. I think that's going to be a really good team. But outside of that, I have them going undefeated at home. I think it's very hard to go into Kyle Field and win. And another thing I want to say before I kind of kick the floor back to you is I understand it's at DKR with the Texas game, but that is a rivalry game. And I think anything can happen in rivalry games in rivalry week. So I wouldn't be surprised if Marcel Reed is able to will that offense to a win. What was the score of that game last year? It was only a 10-point game. Obviously it was at home, so 17-7. It was at home, but that was a close game. And that Texas team was loaded last year. They obviously had a lot of talent, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. But yeah, that's where I have. I have them going 10-2, ceiling at 12-0, and this at the floor at 6-6.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I think when we get into a bunch of these SEC teams, and this year in totality, there's a lot of parity. So I would not be surprised, and let me say, this is not an indictment. I wouldn't be surprised if this Texas A&M team returning a known quarterback, right? Like I said, Marcel Reed looks to be the real deal. If they were able to pop off, if that continuality at the quarterback position and what else they have and what they're returning, and some of the pieces they plugged in, if this is a really good team. But I also wouldn't be surprised if this team was a 6-6 team as well. And like I said, I think if this team was in maybe the Big 12, maybe the ACC, I have a better projection for them and who they're going to be. Let me say a more positive projection. But the SEC, when you're also playing Notre Dame out of conference, this is a tough schedule to navigate. Again, that's kind of where I held my indictment. But I think we'll know so much more after that Notre Dame game. Like you said, if they're able to go in that game and win, or just play really, really tough, I think that may change my view on what I think is going to happen with this Texas A&M team this year.
You guys heard it here first. Texas A&M will be in the playoffs this season. This is my sleeper team. I do this every year. What was the first team that I got right? Oh, it was Louisville.
Yes, yeah, it
Yo,
was.
Listen, I hit the nail on the head with that Louisville pick. I'm telling y'all right now, Texas A&M fans, I believe in y'all this season. I think Texas A&M is going to be in the playoffs. If not, maybe in the SEC title game. I think that might be a stretch, but 10-2, you could definitely get in the playoffs in the SEC. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe.
Let me say this. Bell. I'd be shocked if they're in the SEC title game.
So I would
when
be
you got
shocked.
Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Texas.
I would be shocked as well because you play two teams, LSU and Texas, on the road, who I think are favored higher than to make the SEC title game. So I would be shocked as well. But you know what? I won't be shocked of.
If they make the playoffs.
If this team is in the playoffs. So like I said, if you guys are new to around here, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do this every single day. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Peace.